Today is my father's birthday. On any day of the year, you can ask me, when is your dad's birthday? And I will say March 6th. I know that. But this past Sunday, when I called to see how he was doing, how the week was going, and I said, Dad, what are you going to do for your birthday? He said, oh, it's going to be quiet. It's Ash Wednesday after all. I'll be in church. And when I hung up, I immediately started writing Post-its. Call Dad for his birthday on the lampshade. Call Dad for his birthday on the refrigerator. Call Dad for his birthday on the door. Because for me, that March 6th is filed away in my brain like 2 + 2 = 4. I know it, and if I need to retrieve it, I can, go through the rusty little brain and pull it out. But it doesn't mean that when I am to act on it, that I will recall it. It's more a memory of remembering of the mind and not of action. I wanted to be sure that on March 6th, I pick up the phone and I call my dad. Now, fortunately, Father Crystal, because I preached this same sermon at the 10:15 service, I got several texts from parishioners throughout the day. Have you called your dad yet? And it truly wasn't until something after 2 that I finally got the phone and called Dad. So thanks to all the people who reminded me. Remembering is a really important piece of our liturgy today. When we receive the cross on our forehead in ashes, the first word is remember. All through Scripture, God talks about remembering his people, God's people. We are asked to remember. And it's not just a remembering of the mind, it is a memory that puts us into action. Something needs to be done because we have remembered. And so this Lent, this gift of time that the church has given us, is a time to remember, to stop, to think, reflect on the way that we have been living our Christian life. To think of the ways in which we have walked away from the path that God had led us to. The way that we had treated other people with a mean spirit or with disregard or with disrespect. The ways in which we have done the things that we ought not to have done and have left undone those things which we were called to do. We remember, but that's not all. We are called then to act. How are we going to turn around? How are we going to repent and change and to live the life that our God has called us to? That's putting memory into action. But we're also called this Lent to remember the God who is able to save us, who is able to put things right. When the people of Israel called upon God in the time of Samuel, when Samuel was priest and prophet, they were given a gift to remember God by. Samuel built a pillar of stone called the Ebenezer stone. And he told the people that whenever you look on this stone, remember what God has done for you in the past. Because when we remember the God who acts in ways that save us, that heal us, that redeems us, we can trust that that God is still able to do that for us as we go ahead. This Lent, we can remember that we are living on God's mercy, that we can depend on God's mercy to forgive us, to turn us around, to walk with us, to show us the right way. We can depend on the God who has been good in the past to be good for us as we go ahead. We can remember the mercy of God that is in his Son, Jesus, who went to the cross and who rose. And we can remember the hope we have in that resurrection. As we remember this Lent, may we take the time to think of how we can change the memories of our past into a time when we live the Christian life that calls us into action, that heals our relationship with God and with each other. A time when we can turn to our neighbor and see how we can act with mercy and compassion and generosity. How we can give not just of our heart, but of our hands and our feet and all the resources that God has given us. Let us use this time of Lent to stop, to remember, and to act. Amen.
Amen.